That is not a small mistake. Does that make Maui the real villain?
The gods have given me a boat!
What are you doing?
Moana's island, Motunui, is slowly dying.
Loves the sea.
Guilty, not guilty, or partially responsible.
The story has just begun.
Te Fiti disappears. Te Kā rises, traps her, and tries to take her boat. Healing does not erase accountability. You are the jury.
I'm not a princess.
Everyone remembers Maui as the hero, but the entire disaster in Moana begins with him. He steals the heart of Te Fiti, unleashes the force that poisons the ocean, and then spends centuries avoiding the consequences. Moana risks everything to repair what he broke. But does that make Maui the real villain, or a damaged hero who eventually earns redemption? That is the case. Today we're putting Maui on trial. The charge? Reckless theft, catastrophic consequences, and repeated attempts to escape responsibility. You are the jury. Before we hear the evidence, choose your first verdict. Guilty, not guilty, or partially responsible. And yes, full spoilers for the 2026 live-action Moana from this point forward. The question is simple. Was Maui secretly the real villain of Moana? Moana's island, Motunui, is slowly dying. Fish disappear, coconuts rot, a spreading darkness threatens her people. The solution is to restore the stolen heart of Te Fiti. Moana is chosen by the ocean to cross the reef, find Maui, and make him return it. The story initially presents Maui as the powerful partner she needs. He is funny, charismatic, and literally covered in proof of his heroic accomplishments. But there is one uncomfortable fact beneath all that charm. Moana is not asking Maui to save the world from somebody else's mistake. She is asking him to clean up his own. The first piece of evidence is difficult to ignore. Maui steals the heart. He does not take it because humanity is facing an immediate emergency. He takes it because he wants to give people the power of creation and become the hero they celebrate. That intention sounds generous, but it is also deeply tied to his need for approval, and the consequences are enormous. Te Fiti disappears. Te Kā rises. The darkness spreads across the ocean until it reaches Motunui. The movie's central crisis is not random. Maui causes it. Now, intention matters, but responsibility does not disappear just because the disaster was bigger than he expected. The second piece of evidence is even more damaging. When Moana finally finds him, Maui does not respond like someone eager to correct a terrible mistake. He boasts about his achievements, treats her mission like an inconvenience, traps her, and tries to take her boat. That behavior tells us something important. Maui has had centuries to think about what happened, yet his first instinct is still self-preservation. He wants his magical hook back. He wants his power back. Restoring the heart comes second. The prosecution would say he is not helping because it is right. He is helping because Moana connects the mission to the thing he values most, his identity as a hero. And then we arrive at the moment that changes the entire case. During the confrontation with Te Kā, Maui's hook is damaged. Suddenly, the mission threatens the source of his power. So he leaves. Yes, he is afraid the hook will be destroyed. And yes, losing it may mean losing the abilities that define him. But Moana is left alone with a damaged boat, an impossible mission, and a crisis Maui created. This is where the movie quietly reveals the truth. Maui is willing to be heroic when heroism protects his legend. The moment heroism may cost him that legend, he walks away. There is one detail the defense cannot easily explain. If Moana had accepted defeat after Maui abandoned her, Motunui would have fallen because Maui chose his hook over repairing the world. That is not a small mistake. That is the prosecution's strongest evidence. But that interpretation leaves out something important. Maui did not steal the heart because he wanted destruction. He believed he was helping humanity. His gifts, pulling islands from the sea, slowing the sun, creating opportunities for people, are presented as real acts of service, even if he enjoys the applause. The defense has a powerful answer. Causing a disaster is not the same as choosing evil. Maui is reckless. He is arrogant. He is emotionally exhausting. But villain suggests cruelty, domination, or a desire to harm others. That is not what drives him. There is also another way to read his obsession with praise. Maui reveals that his human parents abandoned him. The gods saved him and transformed him, but the emotional wound remained. He learned to earn love by being useful, impressive, and impossible to reject. Judging him without considering that would be unfair. His ego is not just vanity, it is armor. And his fear of losing the hook is not simply fear of losing a weapon. The hook represents the identity he built after being told, in the most brutal way possible, that he was unwanted. The defense can also point to what Maui does later. He returns to help Moana even though his hook is still damaged. He enters the fight knowing it may be destroyed. At that point, there is no guarantee of applause, survival, or victory. That choice matters because it is the first time Maui acts like a hero without needing the legend of Maui to remain protected. So perhaps he does not avoid responsibility forever. Perhaps the whole story is about him finally becoming worthy of the reputation he already has. Now for the overlooked evidence, Mini Maui. The animated tattoo is funny, but he also works like Maui's external conscience. When Maui performs, Mini Maui celebrates. When Maui becomes selfish, defensive, or afraid, the tattoo often challenges him. That is not proof of a hidden filmmaker message. It is an interpretation, but it changes how we read Maui. Maui is not unaware of his failures. Part of him knows. His conflict is not between good and evil. It is between the heroic image he performs for everyone else and the insecure person underneath it. And there is a deeper parallel. Te Kā is not defeated through greater force. Moana recognizes that the raging monster is Te Fiti without her heart. The apparent villain is a wounded being transformed by loss. Maui is not identical to Te Kā, but the parallel is hard to miss. Te Fiti loses her heart and becomes destructive. Maui is abandoned, builds his entire identity around approval, and becomes reckless. Moana saves Te Fiti by seeing the pain beneath the threat. She helps Maui in a similar way, not by worshiping his legend, but by expecting him to take responsibility. That may be the movie's real argument. People can cause enormous harm without being purely evil. But healing does not erase accountability. It makes accountability possible. So, Maui, let's make this simple. Did you cause the crisis? Yes. Did you intend to destroy the islands? No. Once you understood the consequences, did you have a duty to fix them? Absolutely. Does childhood abandonment explain your obsession with praise? Yes. Does it excuse trapping Moana, stealing her boat, or abandoning the mission? No. And here is the hardest question. If Moana had not been brave enough to continue after you left, would anyone still call you a hero? Because good intentions do not cancel predictable consequences. Trauma can explain selfish behavior without turning selfish behavior into innocence. And returning at the last possible moment is courageous, but it does not magically erase every decision that made the return necessary. My verdict? Maui is not guilty of being the real villain, but he is guilty of causing the disaster, avoiding responsibility, and forcing a teenager to carry the moral burden he refused to face. That makes this a split decision. Maui's original act is reckless, but not malicious. His abandonment of Moana is selfish, but emotionally understandable. His return does not erase his guilt, but it proves he can grow beyond it. The true enemy in Moana is not one evil character. It is what happens when pain, pride, and fear go unchallenged. Te Kā represents damage without healing. Maui represents responsibility delayed. And Moana becomes the hero because she does what neither of them can do alone. She sees the wound, confronts the harm, and still demands restoration. So no, Maui is not the villain. He is something more uncomfortable, a celebrated hero whose greatest adventure is fixing the catastrophe his own legend was built upon. Now, the final verdict belongs to you. Was Maui guilty, not guilty, or only partially responsible for everything that happened? Give me one scene as evidence, not just a feeling. Bring something to the jury room. And here is the deeper question. Does Maui's return prove that he redeemed himself? Or did Moana simply finish the job he should have completed centuries earlier? Next time, another beloved movie character enters the courtroom, and the defense may have an even harder case. Another movie is already waiting to have its heroes questioned, its ending examined, and its secrets pulled into the light. I'm Maya, and I'd love to see you in the next podcast for another exciting movie case.